Well, boys of Waterloo, welcome to the Franchise Hustle.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here. Thanks for having me out to Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we only need to ask like 100 times to get on your podcast. So,
Episode 2, had to kick it off with the boys I'm connected with. Super excited for this one. I don't think we need to have any introduction. I think everyone knows who we are at this point. But the question I get all the time, Lance, about Waterloo Turf, how did you pick such a sick hat?
no, it just kind of landed in my lap. I don't know. The whole thing just kind of like the branding to the hat just kind of landed in my lap. The branding, the Armadillo came about from a lost bet, which turned into a tattoo.
Yeah.
And then the hat just came about where it just was kind of a first try and it hit and it stuck and people liked it.
Yeah. So the tattoo's real.
The tattoo is real.
Yeah.
It is very real.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And so we often get a lot. I think there's so many brands when we think about marketing, everyone's so bullish on digital marketing, advertising. That's really important. But I think people always neglect grassroots. And so one of the things that I really respect that you did is as you're hustling to go get business, you landed on the hats. How do you leverage the hats to go drive business for the future?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. The hats are, it's kind of a silly thing and it sounds silly, but it really is a key and it's like a big part of the Waterloo growth story, especially in the beginning days or any of the beginning days for any new partner. Where when I started Waterloo, I just remember growing up, my parents would have people come over for gutters or lawn service or whatever and
Yeah.
giving them estimates. And a lot of times they would leave behind these leave behinds.
Yeah.
And I would just watch them throw all of them in the trash because they were just like, they were kind of garbage.
Right.
And it was just these things that these companies would give out to these clients to really make the company feel good about doing something, but the client, like, it wasn't anything that they wanted. So I just
Yeah.
kind of remembered that growing up. So whenever I started Waterloo on a budget, Google leads are expensive, they take time, Facebook ads can be expensive. I was like, we need something that hopefully people want to wear and that these leave behinds are high quality and they actually are things that people want to hold on to
Yeah.
rather than just throw in the trash. So that's kind of the idea of how the hats came about, making quality items. We do quality install, so everything we do should be quality. And then ideally, especially on like the commercial side and even residentially, give the client something that they want to wear when they think of turf. We're top of mind. And it's been something that has really, I joke around that we've become a hat company that is turf on the side at this
Yeah.
point. But the hats have been awesome. They've been really, really impactful for the business and they're really just fun. Like, I'll get pictures from people at the airport of seeing somebody walk around in the hat,
Yeah.
and it makes my day every time.
Yeah. No, it's definitely cool, dude. I think everyone always asks for one, which is super rad. Like Tim, like you have a home service background. So when you connected with Lance about the brand and decided to form the partnership, what were your initial thoughts on leveraging the hat for marketing purposes, knowing what you know and all the other ways you tried to market in the past, like through home services?
I mean, I started rocking the hat immediately. Lance is giving them out like candy, and so I
Still
put
do.
one on my head. And I do remember, pretty shortly after Lance and I put the partnership together, I actually went to, I don't know, somebody's first-year-old birthday party. It was like
Yeah.
a little kid's birthday party, but I was wearing the hat. And at that birthday party, I had two people come up to me and
Yeah.
ask about, what's Waterloo Turf? Oh, you do artificial turf. Oh, we're thinking about getting artificial turf in our backyard.
Yeah.
And it was something where I wasn't really even thinking about it. It's just probably one of those days where, like, I didn't take a shower in the morning, and so I'm just throwing a hat on my head, and Waterloo Turf was the hat that I was wearing, but it was just driving business. And those are two really good leads because not only do you not have to pay for them through Google,
Right.
but we also knew each other just through a mutual friend as well. So there's just a little bit more trust there. And so I really liked the brand that Lance had built. I thought that he had done a good job building the brand out in Central Texas,
Yeah.
just through the play that he was running. And you look at the branding and just how everything was put together and the vision of Get Your Saturdays Back. To me, it was pretty obvious that it could be a brand that expanded in other markets.
That makes sense. And so when you were looking, because you were specifically looking for a turf company, how did you know Lance was the guy to partner with?
There's a few things. So I was looking for an artificial turf company to franchise, and I was looking for about a year and a half until Lance and I put our partnership together. And so I had looked at dozens of other artificial turf companies. And so in the beginning, I just really liked the industry. I didn't quite know what I was looking for, but as I start to have more conversations with people who are interested in franchising their artificial turf company, I kept on having like these red flags come up for one reason or another to where I didn't want to move forward with it. So typically the red flags were, as I would talk with somebody, they were only interested in what the exit looked like for them. So it's all about the money that they could make. And in franchising, you really have to have this mentality to where you're going to over invest in the franchise owner's success.
Right.
And I just didn't get the feeling that some of the individuals I was talking with were really values aligned with me in that way.
Yeah.
And so when I talked to Lance, we really hit it off talking at a Rudy's barbecue, just talking about franchise owner profitability and some of the ways that we wanted to design territories and the FDD and some of just like the overall franchise that would really give people a great opportunity for success if they were running the play in the right way. And so to me, I felt like Lance and I were totally values aligned just in business, but also in life. And then I started to go to his turf jobs and his turf sites.
Yeah.
And you start to learn about the S-seam, and you start to learn about high quality base material, and you start to learn about the technology that's being used in estimating. And it was, oh my gosh, this is actually way different. This isn't just like a turf company. Like, this is really different from the other guys that I was talking with that really see themselves more as a wholesaler of labor, to where it's, I'm going to buy cheap labor and sell it high. Lance was more concerned about what's the reputation of my company, and I'm going to build this company off of quality installation, and that will be my reputation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we were boys. We just clicked, man.
It sounds like it, right? It's like if the whole thing kind of just aligned perfectly. Like, and you were saying that you were looking to franchise, right? Because you were trying to figure out what was next for the brand.
Yeah, I mean, it was truly like an answered prayer situation, a God ordained situation. The way it all came about, like, there's no doubt about it. The doors just continued to open, where it was the perfect time in my life and the career with Waterloo, where San Antonio, the first expansion city, expansion market, was on its feet. It was establishing itself and proving the systems in Austin to be valid. And so I just was at this point where I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next with Waterloo and how I wanted to continue to grow it. Because that was always the original goal when starting Waterloo, was to grow it in some capacity, but I really didn't have any idea of how. So San Antonio's up. Me and Tim meet through a small group in our church. And so just conversation of friendships built that leads to, what do you do for work?
Yeah.
He's looking for turf. I'm looking to get into franchising, and just continue to just walk through these doors that opened up. And ultimately, I was like, let's go deeper into franchising. I'm really curious to hear more about it, because the goal was, I want to expand this thing, because Waterloo's been such a blessing in my life and me and my wife's life, and it's just given us the freedom that we wanted when we started it. And so it's like, what's the best way to do this that can get this in the most people's hands as quickly as possible? And ultimately, the franchising was the no-brainer answer.
Was the route?
Yeah.
What was like your initial expectation of what it was going to be like to start franchising? Like, what was your vision for it? How did you feel like it was going to be interacting with franchise partners, and how has that kind of either shifted or kind of came to fruition?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was super green going into it, so I just kind of knew what I knew, but I feel like over the last year, I've learned so much in the franchising space. But I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely a weird feeling at first, like this baby of mine, this like thing that I like. For me, it was just me for a long time. It was just me for years, and then Teddy came into the picture, and I had someone else that was interacting with on a daily basis. So for me to see this baby get transferred to multiple people and ownerships and things like that, like, that was definitely weird at first. It was kind of just, I think, some internal conversations, some ego conversations with myself of just like understanding that this is for the greater good and this is a great thing that's happening, and to give up, some of the power, some of the say, or whatever the case might be, because this is truly a great thing that's happening. And so, yeah, it was a little bit weird, but it quickly went away, especially as, Tim's done an amazing job. Like, Tim has grown this thing beyond what I could have done with it. And then, like, having you come on board, and Alyssa and Grace and Aaron and everyone on this team, Taylor, I'm probably missing somebody, so cut this if needed. But I miss it because the team's continuing to grow, which is cool. And you got, Jeremy and Robert. Anyways, so it's like, it's just been fun to watch it grow. And like, I try to take moments to step back and truly appreciate
Yeah.
all the things that have happened over the course of the last year, and the really, the fun team that has been built over the last year. It's been
Yeah.
awesome.
I think I had told you that this would be no work for you, and it would just be easy. And
He's a great
you have to
salesman.
reach someone.
He's a great
So,
salesman.
That's how he got
I
you.
think it,
Yeah.
I think it turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
no
exactly.
work, yeah.
No, I mean, hey, I love talking about turf. So,
Couple extra hours
you know,
a week, no big deal.
yeah, what they say,
Max
do
30
something you
minutes.
love, you'll never. Yeah. Exactly. So, no, it's been a blast. It's been awesome.
Yeah. I think it's always a good pairing, right? Because it's like you have either the founder trying to get into franchising, and it's like a grind to get there and build it because you've only really ran your one individual market usually, or maybe you've kind of branched off. But when you get into franchising, you're trying to scale, it's a whole different beast, right? And so I think there always has to be this great collaboration with a founder and someone who kind of knows franchising, right? And like you guys, I think, did a very good pairing with that. And so once you establish, like, hey, like Lance is the brand, he's the founder, like he's really the product, and I think you've done an amazing job showcasing that because everyone gets super stoked to talk to you. And I think number one, too, to Tim's point, is like you just do quality work, and I think that's what matters. Like you're going to someone's backyard, and to see someone's face when they come out to their backyard, I didn't think it was going to be like that. Like these guys are blown away, and it's a completely amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you guys were starting to launch the brand, we always talk about franchisors usually lacking capital, and that's a huge reason for failure. You guys went out, got capital, got the backing. You have a phenomenal background in operations. How did you decide you were going to start building out the franchisor team to support the incoming franchise partners?
I just felt like it was a no-brainer. So that was really the plan from day one. I mean, actually, even before I met Lance, this was the plan, was to go and find the right turf company, put together the capital to where we could put together a really great support team, and we could actually forward invest before we grew on the franchise side. And so that was the day one plan. I think for me, I don't know if you can do it any other way. Right. And so I know that it's been done before without having capital in the bank. But to me, when I look at what do we want to offer to our franchise owners and what can we do to actually help franchise owners be successful, number one, it's the infrastructure. Right. It is making sure that it is built in a scalable way and that we've invested in creating it into a way to where it's just really tight and it's plug and play for somebody who wants to come in and run their business. And then number two is, do we have the support team? So if you're a franchise owner on a job site, we want you to go and close that quote on the spot. Right. But you may not know everything there is to know about turf in your first 90 days, even after you've gone through our operations manual. Is there somebody you can pick up the phone with, FaceTime really quickly, and figure this thing out so that you can just go and execute as a franchise owner? Yeah. And so if we don't have that on-demand capability of support, I mean, what's the point? Right. And so for me, it was about putting the support team together and then also being in a position to where we can forward invest in the national brand. And so I'm sure it can be done in a different way. It's hard to, knowing what we have spent in putting together support. I mean, year one, millions of dollars. Yeah. And so knowing what we've invested, it's hard for me to see how you can do this any other way.
Yeah. I think having the turf coaches is big, right? And Lance, and I think in most cases when you're trying to hustle the brand from the start, it's like the founder trying to teach everything because they have all the knowledge in their head, right? But we were able to go hire, in addition to Lance, turf coaches that have decades of experience, decades of knowledge. And I think we're people who are just industry specific and knowledge, like only know what they know about their craft. It's a different beast to go structure that out in a kind of uniform training, right? Where do you feel a lot of founders go wrong when they're trying to educate incoming franchise partners without any type of background in delivering training at maybe like a higher level?
Yeah. The way that I think we've seen success, at least at Waterloo Turf, is you start off the right way from day one. Mm-hmm. And so we really like to keep a high standard. And I mean, we take it from the way that you run your business. It's like when you onboard a new crew, that crew needs to perform at a high standard from day one. And so we want to make sure that the franchise owners understand what the Waterloo Turf way is, yeah, and the Waterloo Turf standard from day one. Because what's really difficult is to try to ease somebody into it, and then they're running their business for about a year, and hey, you need to change X, Y, and Z. Much better to start off with, this is the standard, this is how Waterloo Turf happens on the ground and then
Yeah.
execute that from day one.
Mhm.
And so that does take a certain amount of knowledge so that the trainer is capable of training a new franchise owner coming in, as well as the systems in place to make sure that we can hold the whole brand to the same standard. Because if everybody is delivering quality work, we've already seen instances where somebody in Austin is moving to a different part of Texas and they want Waterloo Turf to do their turf,
Right.
or vice versa. People are already passing leads around because they know the quality is consistent.
Yeah. I think that's why people buy into a franchise, right? Is you want the training, you want the structure, you want the support, and I think you want the accountability. So I think like great franchise partners, from my experience, they're the most coachable. Because you were saying earlier that you had to drop your ego as you kind of continue to expand this, but I also think that's important for franchise partners to understand is like you're not signing up to do it on your own, and so you can't have an ego around being coachable. It's like we're not trying to tell you to do things that don't work because that's not in our best interest. It's like silly. So why
Mm-hmm.
would I ask you to go, advertise this way or say this in a conversation if it's not going to benefit you? Because as a franchisor, the cheesy thing is like we only win when they win.
Yeah, and I mean, also at the same time, it's like if you do divert from the plan to do these own things, I've probably done them and I've probably
Right.
failed at them. So it's like you don't need to go waste your time and money doing them because I probably did that for you.
Yeah.
And so it's like just buy in, stick to the Waterloo way. I'd say, put your head down for a year and just follow it and see where you go.
How did you know? Because I don't think everyone's designed to be a business owner. I think that's okay. How did you know you were not? I don't think you're ever ready, but how did you know to pull the trigger on doing your own thing?
Yeah, I mean, I had experience with it straight out of college, and I think that was just due to I didn't have a job and I had an opportunity to help create a job for myself, and
Yeah.
that's how that came about. And then obviously I went into the corporate world for a couple years and saw what the other side looked like. So I had experience on both ends, and just I realized business ownership is obviously it's a lot more fun. But I think even going back to like younger days, I've always kind of been someone that I just like to kind of do things my own way in a
Yeah.
sense, and I like to. I was a really bad test taker, horrible in school, but it's always because I just kind of think a little bit differently. I think, and I like to try different things out, and so I guess you just kind of have that in you at some point if you're a business owner. And I also like my grandpa, who I looked up to a lot. He was a big entrepreneur, and I kind of watched him do a lot of really cool things over the course of his life. So I was inspired by that, and just yeah, I was like, if I have the opportunity to try to do something on my own and able to stand it up, you know, especially when you're young and you're in your
Yeah.
20s and your overhead is
Yeah.
really cheap rent and going out with your friends on the
Right.
weekend. It's a hard thing to pass up in your 20s.
It's a different type of pressure too, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, now it's on you for sure. I
Hmm.
think when someone's in a corporate career, and I think the corporate route's good because I think it teaches you structure, process, systems. That's what
For
every
sure.
business is, and
Yeah.
so I think you always pull something from it. But at the end of the day, and I think it gives the illusion of safety. But in my mind, it's like you work for someone else. The company's supposed to perform. If the company doesn't perform or you don't perform, you're probably out.
Yeah.
So it's to me, it's similar to business ownership. Like it's all on you. Or do you feel like there's any specific traits that every business owner has to have, or do you feel like there's ones that stand out and like, oh, dude, that guy's gonna crush it?
Man, I mean, yeah, I feel like I've been asked the question before, do you think anyone can be a business owner? I'm like, I think anybody can be, but I think, you don't have to necessarily be passionate about what you're doing, like what your business is. I wouldn't say I got into turf because I was passionate about turf.
Right.
But I am passionate about, you know, putting in hard work and building something. I think the process of building is really cool and
Mm.
really fun and experimental, and you get to try things and watch things grow. So I think that's a ton of fun. I think just the ability to, you know, pave your own path in a way is it's a really cool experience to have. You grow a lot through business ownership, and throughout life. Life is about growing in a lot of ways. So
Mm.
you get stretched and you get pulled, but ultimately it's hopefully for the best. So I don't know, Tim, if you've got, traits that you think business owners have. I think it can be so different for everyone.
I think I agree with you. I mean, anybody can be a
Yeah.
business owner. Is that going to be the most lucrative thing for everybody to be able to do?
Right.
Probably not.
Mm.
I think does take, um, I mean, to me, I think the main trait that I would look for in somebody is like, are they resilient? Because there's many things that you just can't control. And so can you control your effort over a long period of time? And like the odds are, if you're sitting in a casino pulling a slot machine for a year, you're probably going to win a couple times. And so I don't think that, I think that there is more control in business than a casino, not to just use that as the main metaphor. But I do think that the more time that you're in business and the more that you're putting out without immediate gratification of a paycheck, the more likely you are to be successful. So that's always something that I like to see is, has somebody stuck with something a long time? Are they resilient, or have they been used to getting immediate feedback that's always good? I think it can be a little bit jarring if you are the person who grew up getting straight A's and you got into the right college and you got good grades in college, and then you went into consulting and then maybe business school. Like, those are all really good things, and you're going to find some super, super smart people. But how do you react when you flop? And so if somebody has never flopped before and picked themselves back up and continue to press on when everybody was telling them that they should quit because they're bad, because they probably are bad, like, how do you react, and can you keep going because you just have this belief in yourself? And to me, that's just resiliency.
Like, so getting through the learning curve.
And I was going to say too, like, y'all are both good at this. You're really good at this, like casting vision. And business ownership, a lot of times too, it's like delayed gratification. Like, you have the vision that other people don't see, but you see it, and there's going to be a long process between that actually coming to fruition. But being resilient, being able to persevere and trust that your instinct, your guts of that vision being attainable is still out there and continuing to push every single day. I think that's like so much of the game.
100%.
One of the things, so I played football in college, and one of the things that my college coach would always say is, there's two types of people in the world. The type of person that lives with the pain of discipline, the type of person that lives with the pain of regret. And so I think if, like, when I talk to people and they're thinking about starting their own business, are you going to live with the pain of regret if you don't do this? And so if you are, like, just know that's going to be the case.
Right.
And
Definitely.
so I always think that, you know, if you're comfortable living with the pain of discipline and that's not near as painful as the pain of regret, I think that business ownership is a great fit for you.
And I do think, to Lance's point, I think you do a really good job of casting the vision, because everyone gets super fired up. When you were in corporate America, because you have a pretty diverse background, you've seen a lot of things, did you have a leader, manager, mentor that was really good at that? Or was there anyone that inspired you kind of in your journey to your own business ownership?
I've seen a lot of things.
That's for another podcast.
Eyes glaze over.
I think I do think, which has been great, I've been able to be around a lot of leaders that I feel like I've tried to emulate. And so one of those being my college football coach. And so he was fantastic at casting the vision of what he was trying to achieve in the program and what he wanted the program to ultimately do. And that was actually the whole reason why I decided to go play football at Wheaton College, is what it's called. It's a really small Division III school. I had some opportunities to go play at some bigger schools, but you know, I was looking at myself and it's like, okay, I'm clearly not the NFL guy. And so why don't I go play somewhere that I really believe in the leadership and I like the culture of it? And so I saw what they were doing there, and it was totally different than what every other team was doing. And so being around that and getting to be around what I would call like some really great leaders every single day for 4 years was really helpful, as well as some other corporate environments, being around some executives that have made it to the top echelon of corporate America, and just seeing how they cast vision has been really beneficial for me. And I think what I've really, it's funny because you look back on some hard things in your life, and in the moment, hard things don't feel good. But now when I look back on them, I'm so glad that I have that. And so just to give you an example, so I had my first boss, I didn't say first boss, he's probably like my first VP. I was working at a larger technology company in San Francisco, and I saw him. We met at some sort of company happy hour, and, you know, we're chatting it up. 22, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm chatting it up with the VP, and he said, hey man, this has been great. Put some time on my calendar. Like, let's hang out a little bit more. And so I put time on his calendar. You know, his assistant reaches out, bumps me out 3 months. And so 3 months roll by, and I finally get onto his calendar, and we're just meeting for like a day coffee just to catch up. And so we sit down, and he says, hey Tim, what's the agenda for this meeting? was like, you told me to put time on your calendar. And I was like, I was very confused. I'm 22. I'm sweating a little bit. I'm sweating big time. And I'm trying to come up with an agenda. And he just stands up and he says, don't ever take somebody's time without telling them why you're taking their time, and walks off.
Yeah.
And I died.
That's
Dude,
funny.
I died.
I'm dying right now.
I died inside.
Brutal.
I died inside. But how valuable of a
Right.
lesson was that for me to learn? I mean, he did not remember talking to me 3 months ago. And in my mind, you know, even though he did say that, I mean, he also said, he was like, look, all the executives here, they're all going to say that same thing to you. He's like, but look, my time is valuable. I am here to help create value for the company. I'm here to create value for myself. Like, you got to let me know how I can do one or the other. Otherwise, this is a bad use of my time. For sure. And so understanding how valuable people's time is and how to work with those types of people is hugely valuable. And just, again, yes, I've had access to a lot of moments like that where some I got to see people and be able to pick up on that. Other times I've just fallen flat on my face and I've picked myself back up and learned my lessons along the way.
Yeah, I think that's a great experience, because I feel like if you're willing to give someone that direct feedback, you're actually teaching them a very valuable lesson, and I think it's out of respect, right? So you learn how you have to operate moving forward, now becoming an adult in a career. And I think there's just a lot of people in the time we live in now, is like no one's really willing to give that feedback. And I don't think you're doing anyone a service for that, because they're just going to continue to operate and be bouncing around, not get any direct feedback. They're not going to improve. And so it sounds rough, but I think we've lost accountability in a lot of ways. When you were in corporate America, did you have one of those experiences yourself, or a phenomenal leader that said, "Oh, I'm gonna emulate that"?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I had a mentor in my medical device days that I still feel like I pull things from. That, you know, the way when I started Waterloo, a lot of the things that I do, or now we do within Waterloo, like came from my time in corporate, because I just got to see what a real structure of an organization looks like, especially in the healthcare system and operating room procedures, and the way it's like you've got to be on your game every time you go in for a case and you're in for a procedure. And so it was a benefit to spend that time, those 2 years, to be in that setting and be able to see what that looks like. So I don't have any like specific stories beyond just like the high stress of being in operating rooms, seeing people coat HIPAA. I don't know if we can talk about that, but yeah, man, I think it's great, especially when you're young, to be in those high pressure settings around important people and get to experience the failure of like, wow, that really sucked to hear that.
Yeah.
And hopefully you respond positively to it and put it in your toolkit.
So it's like night and day, going into like hospitals to now working outside with crews. What was and it's not easier per se, right? Because I think everything has its own little challenges. What was it like initially for you to start working with crews?
When I initially started, I was young. I was 22, straight out of college. So everyone I was working with was much older than me. So that was pretty weird at first, and something I had to get used to. But going from like a hospital setting, an operating room setting, to the turf world, it just really put a lot of things into perspective. Like the things I used to stress about with turf, like coming back around, way less stressful. You know, when you're in a surgery with somebody and there's blood flying on you, and you know, people coding and things like that was real stress. Right. And so getting to come back and, you know, the day in, day out, I was like, the things that used to stress me out massively was like, it's fixable, you know. But that's the beauty with turf, is like, if something doesn't look the way it should, it's like, it's fixable. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. It's not broken. We just need to correct it. And so that was another huge benefit of my little bit of time away and then coming back, that perspective shift.
Yeah. And Tim, so you've had different experience with home services brands, working with probably different types of crews. Have you found there to be an industry that it's actually a lot harder to work with that type of crew? Maybe it's like in painting versus turf. Like, do you feel like there's something that's harder than the other?
I think everything's got its challenges that's just specific to the trade.
Yeah.
And it seems like every trade also has their own culture
Yeah.
within it as well.
Sure.
And so each culture has got its own challenge. I think one thing that I really appreciate about artificial turf is that for the most part, at least if you're working with a homeowner, all of the work is outside.
Yeah.
And so, especially when you're working with subcontractors where, you can control the quality of the work, but you're not necessarily training people, and you don't necessarily have an eye on that job at all times, knowing that the subcontractor is outside of the homeowner's house, I think eliminates a lot of potential problems that could happen when you have somebody working inside somebody's home, their space. I mean, you just cause so much more stress for the homeowner when you're in the house. I know my wife, and just like with our kids, it's an ordeal when somebody comes into the house, and so that can be managed really well. But when you have people working on the outside of the house, you just don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. What made you so bullish on franchising turf, right? Because you were specifically looking for a turf company. What was so attractive about the model or the industry to you?
So number one is there is no national name brand in artificial turf. And so we primarily compete against local mom and pop landscapers. At best, we're competing against a single location turf company or a regional turf company. And so because there is no national turf company, I felt like there was a lot of ground that could be taken by somebody who wanted to be a national brand. And the benefits from that is obviously domain authority, but also relationships nationally with contractors, gyms, and everything that we're able to do within Waterloo Turf and are going to be able to do. So I felt like there was just a lot of ground that can be taken, especially in the digital age, by being a national brand. But I think, outside of that, the question is, okay, well, do you grow it corporately, nationally, or do you franchise? And I truly believe that a local owner is so much more invested than a salesperson of a large corporation.
For sure.
And so, I think that the actual superior way to go and grow a services business is through the franchising model. Because if you have an owner who's all in and they're making this their livelihood, they're probably going to see their customer at the high school football game on Friday. They're going to do and be incentivized to really do a great job. And as they hire salespeople and project managers, they're going to be really incentivized to make sure that those guys are trained to a T versus a national company that has salespeople everywhere and there's 5 layers before you actually hit the ownership that has staked their reputation on it.
Did you have any concerns about that? Like, as you're getting into franchising, you're going to lose a little bit of control. Did you feel like quality was going to go down?
No, I haven't really been worried about quality just because I've seen the infrastructure that's been built out before anybody came into the system. And it's just like this Waterloo machine that's been built up is so dialed in. It's like it's hard for poor quality to come into the system because of it. So yeah, thankfully it's never really been a concern for me just because of the great job everyone on the team has done, making sure that this is, quality is the North Star that we continue to chase after.
I think we talked about it a lot at the start.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, what are we going to do for training? Are we going to do a virtual training? No. People have to come to Austin.
Yeah. I mean,
when they kick off their first jobs, are we just going to let them kick it off? No. Like, we have to go to that.
Yeah. I mean, we did talk about it a lot. It's like when you're starting a business, especially something like turf that's so word of mouth and it's so visual, it's like your reputation in the beginning is your foundation. It's everything, and it's going to carry your business for years and years and years. And so, yeah, when we were putting this thing together, it was like one of the things to us and to me that was like a no question had to happen is getting turf coaches with real turf experience in the system to help these franchisees, these partners coming in to make sure it's done the right way. And thankfully we have 2 amazing turf coaches that not only are insanely educated on turf, but they also have business experience as well. Because it's like we could have just gotten business coaches, but the business will come to these partners when their business continues to grow. The turf side of things is like you got to hit it from the ground or from the start. And so that's why I was like, the turf coaches is a no-brainer, and we've really done well with the 2 turf coaches that are in our system.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is like when we were chatting up about how you started and how you went about your process, we now have technology that I think separates us from a lot of mom and pop shops. So it's probably different for you because you're looking at like, dude, if I had this when I started, like night and day.
yeah.
Even our turf coaches talk about that too. Like when they first got in the industry, they didn't have all these tools, right? And so you're really getting this shortcut to success to deliver better experience, better profitability, right? Because you're making less mistakes.
Yeah.
And so this is more of like a question that's geared towards franchisors: is how do you implement tech, like getting a really good tech stack without overdoing it, because that's the case too, right? Because there's not one software system that'll do everything that you absolutely need. So you oftentimes have to mix and match. And I think you've done a pretty good job of throttling that, right? How do you know when you have too much tech versus I need to start thinking we need to add more?
Well, I think what's funny, and I think what's maybe missed sometimes as far as what we communicate, is that Lance built a $2 million turf company without many of the things that software companies will say that you have to have in your stack.
Right.
And so, really, the business in itself, like the model, is not necessarily the technology. The model is the quality of the work. It is the
Yeah.
SEAMs. It's how do you show up. It's how do you communicate. And so that's the model. So from there, if that's what we see as true, then technology should be implementing that model easier, not a part of the model to where there's X, Y, Z, and you got to jump around all these different tech stacks. And then if you forget something, it ruins it. And then, oh my gosh, like I got to do this. I do see that technology slows down in a lot of ways. So
Yeah.
it's what are the things that allow us to execute the actual model more efficiently, faster, at a higher quality. And so it's pretty difficult. Like if that is true, it's pretty difficult to actually add a tool because there's
Yeah.
very few things that
Right.
will do that. There's lots of things that sound cool. There's lots of nice to haves. There's lots of things that, yeah, sure, that could work. But at the same time, like what do we know works? And what if we just focus on doing what we already know works?
Yeah. I think that's where a lot of franchise partners in any system can start to get the shiny object syndrome, right? Because then they get super into the industry, they want to master their craft, and with social media, you get hit with all this type of advertisement, right? So you see all these possible things, and I think now with AI, I think it's a word that's been around a lot, right? And so I don't think people really know what it is or how to actually implement it. But it is about narrowing down, is this the tech stack that's going to make the most sense and get a better ROI without kind of bogging us down?
Well, I think too with the tech stack, it's like it's streamlined and made things more efficient. And for us, again, going back to like the turf space, it's so relational, and you want to be personable with your clients. And the way it is now, you can go through an estimate. Say you've got an hour slotted with that client, 15 minutes of it could be slotted for measuring and quoting, and the other 45 minutes can be built, building a relationship with the client and getting to dream with them. And that's massive versus back in the day, hour slot, 45 minutes was being used to drag a tape measure around the yard and sweat over my notepad. And 15 minutes while I'm out of breath is trying to talk to this client and build some trust. And so I think that's the beauty of this tech stack that we have.
One of the things I think is really cool though about the franchise system and just where we are is that now that we have owners that have been in it for about 9 months, is that the different owners, like they're able to try their own stuff and like kind of ease things in to see if this works. And so what's been fun to see is like our rate of learning is so much faster in the franchise system because I still believe like there will be tools that we add to our tech stack because it will meet the rules that we want internally to really just accentuate what we're already doing that works. But not every tool will do that. But because we have different owners in different markets, like we are able to figure out very quickly what we're going to have, and it will help us move much faster as an organization.
Yeah, 100%. And in the day, like to your point, the tech stack should be able to allow you to get out of like the admin or the back end of the business and go execute. And that's just probably having as many conversations as possible, right? So like I'm super bullish on Grassroots because I grew up in a time in the gym industry where we weren't running advertisements yet. It was I walked in, clocked in, said hi to my manager, got my clipboard, had to go get 20 leads from the Irvine Spectrum, so walk around the mall just getting names and numbers to get people in for a guest pass. So I didn't know what digital leads were.
Yeah.
And so I know they're important, right? Like advertising, marketing, digital, social media, super important. But at the end of the day, you don't replace just the extra hustle and going out into your community, talking with people, getting out of the tech stack, and just doing the thing. And you have a ton of experience in like operating marketing. What made you so bullish on Grassroots versus going all in on just Meta or Google, which are part of our system, but we know that's not the main driver right now to launch your business?
The biggest and the best jobs always come through a relationship.
Right.
And so I've always looked at the question as like, what does the perfect business look like? Their business is coming in and the leads are free. It's a high ticket item. You're charging a lot and it's a really good margin. Oh, and also like it's recurring.
Yeah.
And so through a referral relationship in our business, being a landscaper, a pool construction landscape architect, when they keep sending leads, those are free leads because of your relationship. That is a reoccurring relationship where they continue to send you business over time. And if I'm an NFL player or I'm a celebrity in Austin or Nashville or whatever it might be, I'm not going on a thumbtack.
Right.
I'm going to my landscape architect who's already done these 5 things for me and I can trust them. And that landscape architect is going to come to us because they trust us due to the quality of the work that we've put in place. And so we're able to get the bigger jobs that typically have the higher margins as well, because that type of homeowner is going to want a higher level of service attached with what we're doing. And so to me, like if you really want the perfect business, there's that's all you're going to do. I mean, you're only going to focus on referral relationships.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is a shout out to Hunter, our franchise partner in Boise, who's supposed to be in what we thought was the slow season, or what everyone said. It's winter, you're not going to do jobs. This guy's still crushing.
He's cranking.
And when I talked to him the other night, he's just super fired up because the way he's getting his business is through networking groups. So he's just out in the community. He's now the turf guy in Boise. So if you need turf from Boise, hit up my boy Hunter, link in the bio.
Love it.
We'll get you a quote. But once again, I think this highlights like nothing's ever going to be just being yourself, getting out of the community and shaking hands. Because I do think too, like lead aggregates, like a thumbtack or anything that you're buying leads, everyone's always going to say the leads are horrible. Like that's all that you ever hear because it's a volume play. And I think the way we're trying to leverage Meta and Google, it's more long term. Would you agree? That's kind of more of our stance. Like there's a time and a necessity for these digital advertisings, but it will never take the front seat of the grassroots.
I don't think it should, but I also think that the best marketers are everywhere at all times.
Right.
And so I don't think that, you should just eliminate digital marketing. And it's part of the reason why we focus so heavily on it is because you want to be able to capture the demand wherever that demand is going to be. And the biggest and the best jobs, that demand is going to come through referral relationships.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that there's still not solid jobs that are coming through Google or Facebook. And so making sure that your Google presence is set up so that when a homeowner is looking for artificial turf, you show up, you have the reviews, you've done the work on your Google business profile, and you're paying Google to make sure that you are at the top. That's going to help you get in that house.
Yeah.
And then for Meta, the homeowner who's not quite ready for turf yet, but they've seen all of the ads of Waterloo Turf, they've seen Lance's like late night TV infomercial ad that we just shot. And, it's kind of like Waterloo Turf sits in the back of their mind, but when they are ready for artificial turf, that ad's hit them over the past 3 months. We actually just saw this with a franchise owner, got a phone call off of the Google business profile. So if you're looking at attribution, it's Google.
Right.
But then he gets on the phone and the customer tells him, hey, I've been seeing your ad on Facebook for the past month. I don't want artificial turf for another 3 months, but I figured I'd give you a ring and see what a quote looked like. And so people, the more often that you can get eyeballs on yourself, the better off that you'll be. So there's no point in throttling anything, but I do think that different jobs come through different channels.
100%. You should never turn it off. I think it's important and necessary, but it's a long-term, I think, play on it. I think people just get so caught up in it. Once again, it's important, non-negotiable, but I mean, there's other ways we're going to win and win early. And that's like, we keep saying, follow the system. That's what you literally do every day is you're out in the community.
Yeah. You got to be out in the community. And going back to what Tim was saying earlier about franchising being the route, because there's more buy-in, small business, you're local. I mean, it's so true. Like you will see these people at football games or at church or wherever you might be. It happens to me all the time. And obviously you want to do quality work, but like there's also a part of me that's like, I want to do quality work because I'm good chance I'm going to see this person out somewhere and I don't want it to be awkward.
Right.
But yeah, man, I mean, relationships are huge. And the thing with turf too is like the average ticket size is, $10,000. And so if someone's interested in turf and they see it in their friend's backyard and they see your work and they see it's high quality and you go and give them a quote and they get other quotes, and even if Waterloo's a little bit higher than somebody else, well, they haven't seen their work in person, and you don't really want to take a risk on a $10,000 ticket versus a $8,500 ticket.
Yeah.
And so, we talk about it all the time, but like people, they say, well, turf, it's a one and done job. It's
Mhm.
not recurring. But it is recurring, because one job, we say, leads to 10 jobs, and it's just this spider web effect that does happen from it. So relationships are huge, getting into offices, building them, dropping off hats, whatever the case might be. It's a massive part of everyone's business.
Do you have, I mean, you've done a ton of jobs at this point. Do you have one that just stands out to you that you were super stoked on doing?
Yeah, I mean, we do. We've done a lot of really really cool jobs. I mean, it's always fun to do. I don't know, like we've done some celebrities' houses, which is cool, but I think the ones, and this sounds cheesy, but I swear it's true, that besides Tim's house. No, I mean, honestly, the ones that are the best are truly like when you go into a backyard, to quote it, and it's a disaster,
Yeah.
and it's a family. There's multiple kids. They've got pets, and you just
Yeah.
know that like their day to day is limited by their backyard,
Yeah.
and it's the best going back there after the job is finished and walking it with the parents, and the kids are running all over the place, and the dogs are running all over the place, and it's like you truly get to see the transformation and the impact you had on this family's
Right.
life. And so we've done cool commercial jobs, celebrities' houses, but like I will still stand by, like, the day in day out of doing families' backyards is like it's special.
Yeah. What I mean, Austin's obviously a great market for turf, right? Everyone's about it. There's a lot of jobs being done. What markets, Tim, do you think you're super bullish on, that you're super stoked for us to start getting into?
I think, yeah, there's quite a few, but a few that are on my mind right now. Raleigh, Durham, everybody calls it Austin 2.0. I think that there's a lot to like about it that is pretty similar from Austin and what we see. Orlando is another
Mm-hmm.
market. Tampa, Salt Lake City, Oklahoma City. There's also some really small markets that are going to be pretty killer for turf, because there is truly not another turf company there, but it has the right demographics. So Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville, for
Interesting.
example, like that place is popping off, and
Mm-hmm.
there's really not another turf company there. Huntsville, Alabama, very similar story. And so, you can go into a market like Tampa that's a little bit bigger. It's going to have a lot of demand. There are turf competitors that are single location turf competitors in Tampa. So, you have room to go and take over that market. But there's also, you're probably going to be able to build a bigger business in Tampa than you would in Northwest Arkansas. But for the owner operator who's starting in, that wants to build a sizable business in Northwest Arkansas, you can walk in being the turf guy
Right.
from day one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Only game in town.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like the thought with San Antonio when we went to San Antonio, is there wasn't really a lot of competition, but you knew it was going that
Right.
direction. So yeah, if you're in a market where it's like you can see the wave is coming, but you have the opportunity to plant your flag early, you couldn't ask for anything better.
I think, yeah, 100%. And you named off some like really solid markets. What was the email again that franchise consultants send the territory checks to?
Brokers at waterlooturf.com.
Send them in, consultants. These are some really solid markets. What when you think about, I think our whole North Star is for the franchise partners. And I think you did a really good job of creating bigger territories. What made you want to go start the brand and making sure that we're giving more territory to franchise partners coming in?
I think there's a few reasons. Number one, I think that the more opportunity somebody has, the more opportunity somebody has. And so if a franchise owner has a bigger territory, by definition, they have more people to sell to. So
Yeah.
I think it just makes sense. If I were a franchise owner, I would want a big territory.
Yeah.
And you also look at, what does Lance's area look like that he's operating out of Austin and San Antonio. And so we were really able to take, like, hey, what is Lance doing and how does that operate?
Yeah.
And then just translate it over into the franchise to replicate it and
Yeah.
copy and paste. And then really from our end, we would rather have less franchise owners with more opportunity versus the other way around, because it's easier for us to support, quite frankly.
Mhm.
Instead of having 12 people in Houston who now are actually fighting each other over thumbtack leads, and they've got their own internal competition going on. Like, that's just another competitor in the market.
Yeah.
We would much rather have one person come in, control that whole market, who's well capitalized, who wants to go and build a big business, build wealth long term for their families, and just run the play.
Yeah. Do you think, I think this is like brand specific, do you think there's too much territory to give someone, to give one franchise partner from the start?
I think it's I think it's more, to me, I think about it more as the metro. And so to me, it's a little bit less, because territory is something you talk about, I feel like, when you are coming into a franchise system, but then you quickly never talk about it
Right.
again. And so I think more about where's the metro that a franchise owner is going to be operating out of, and also what's their capitalization like. So for example, if somebody's coming into a really big metro with a lot of opportunity, very low capital, that might not be a great fit, because you're really going to have to go and compete against probably a couple other turf companies on advertisements, as well as going out knocking. Like, you can do it, but for us, we just believe that there probably could be somebody who come in who's better capitalized, who can really control that market.
I like that a lot, because I think in most cases, this is just in the industry itself. It's like there's a lot of overselling being done just to get the unit across, and the way sometimes salespeople are incentivized kind of encourages that, right? So I think that there has to be this throttle, and I think there's a time and place for more territories, but I think it's franchise partner specific, and what is that franchise partner's unique either capital situation or their experience building businesses too, I think go into it, right? As like Tim was kind of casting the future for like territories and size of markets. What was your thought process going through that?
I mean, it all made sense to me.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It's like the more opportunities are the more opportunities.
Yeah.
And you don't want to limit anybody. You also, like having 12 Waterloos in the same area sounds horrible, to be honest. Like, it sounds like a just exponential amount of issues to come up, support issues, even just like internal, like our internal like G chat of partners is fun. Like, it's people supporting each other, sharing ideas. I would have to imagine that would be a lot more limited if there were a lot of owners within the same area competing on top of each other.
Yeah, I was in a scenario where one of the brands I was part of, like over 600 owners, and I think maybe 550 of them were individual owners, right? So there's very small groups, and like to your point, you just start putting too many people in the same pocket. There's no more culture, because you said it perfectly. Is like, dude, there's so much fighting. All of a sudden, our role becomes mediator and just trying to get people running the play, and it's absolutely silly.
Yeah.
And so I do think it's important to limit as many franchise partners as possible, because one, to your point, I think it also allows us to support them better. And they have the opportunity to make more money. That's what people are getting this for, not to like scrape and get by. So I think that we give everyone a pretty good opportunity to, once again, go out in the community, knock on doors, let people know who you are. Like, there's plenty of ways to find success.
Yeah. And I mean, culture is key. You know, what we're building at Waterloo is built off a lot of like, we want to, the get your Saturdays back mindset is not only client based, but ownership based too. And we want to make sure like that resonates throughout the brand and throughout the culture of Waterloo, and hopefully make it something that is a success for everybody that buys into it. It's a blessing for everybody, but at the same time, like, everyone has fun with it too. That's a goal, and something that you got to work hard to captivate and create.
Just because you start boots on the ground building your business up, like, we really want to make sure that that's not the case for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, you got to put in the
100%.
grind, but you also got to have the opportunity to where you can go and build that big business.
100%.
And so if you are landlocked from other franchise owners, or you're just in a market where you're competing against 12 other people, I mean, you just trap yourself into, I am my own salesperson for the rest of my life. And really, I think your lifestyle has been able to be built because you've been able to hire, you've been able to bring on good people, you've been able to add on more crews, because really your model is like you're operating out of a place in Austin. And so how do we just replicate that everywhere to give everybody the same experience that you've had?
Yeah, there's freedom in it.
What does Get Your Saturdays Back mean to you?
I mean, Get Your Saturdays Back was created, that logo was tagged on the company in the early years of the business, where I was corporate. I came back to business ownership because when you're in the corporate world, you realize how much of your time, your everything is not yours. And so Get Your Saturdays Back, who doesn't love a Saturday? Saturdays are the best day of the week. And so it was just live every day like it's a Saturday, have the freedom, time-wise, ideally financially, personally, whatever the case might be, to just enjoy the Mondays the same way that you enjoy the Saturdays. And so for me, when I came back into turf, like, I remember thinking to myself driving around, was like, man, this is like right before I started Waterloo. I was like, man, it would be so cool just to be a turf guy again. just to like this is me. I remember where I was driving when I was thinking about this, just to be a turf guy again and be able to golf when I want to golf and
Yeah.
like do all that stuff that you don't really get in the corporate world. And so that's where the Get Your Saturdays Back was born out of. And it's something that, you know, I think everybody has a different answer for it. And that's what we want. Like that's what it means to me. But for every owner, everyone that works at Waterloo, it's like they've got their own reason or definition of what it looks like to get their Saturdays back.
Yeah, 100%. How does it show up for you, Tim?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I work 7 days out of the week. So,
No days
I mean,
off.
I just enjoy, I mean, I enjoy what we're doing at Waterloo Turf. I enjoy the game. I enjoy like the drive and just everything that's going on and all the great franchise owners that have come on. So I totally agree with Lance. I mean, to me, getting Saturdays back is, in business ownership, is it's not necessarily work-life balance. I don't like to think about it that way, at least for myself. How do I invite my family into my work? And so I think everybody at Waterloo's probably met my wife and at least half my kids. I don't know if they met all of them.
Half of them.
But,
It was a lot.
and then, you know, I mean, I certainly bring work into my family and faith and all that stuff. And so to me, it's really, how do I live the life that I want to live every day? And I just enjoy what we're doing at Waterloo Turf. So inevitably, I just end up working every single day. But I also do other things as well during the weekday. Live every day like it's Saturday, get your Saturdays back. And so it's just bringing all of that together and controlling time, controlling freedom, and enjoying what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with.
Yeah,
And
100%.
And I think on the client side, obviously we're talking like personally, what does it mean for us? The other side of it was, how do we market this? Because like I can market that for me, but as a business, it becoming the slogan for the business that is client facing. And the purpose of Waterloo Turf on the client side is, we are in the turf business, but really we consider ourselves in a lifestyle brand. And so getting your Saturdays back is not mowing your yard anymore, you know, getting to be out on a Saturday grilling, and if you've got a putting green, putting around and inviting your friends over and not having to worry about the upkeep and the maintenance before they come over, and, you know, spending that time doing that. So that's how it like truly was tagged on there. But then, yeah, from an internal perspective, that's what GYSB means.
Yeah. And I love that.
Well, hey, what for you, what does it mean? I want to hear the Manny version.
Saturdays
Steak,
look different.
Steak, tan.
Crumble cookie.
Steak and some sort of dessert at this point.
Yeah.
It crumbles too far where I'm at now. I told you guys I'm a big pie guy now.
We know.
Because like what they do in Miami with the DoorDash, dude, these guys are all about speed. So I know we talk about that a lot, like no parking tickets, right? Like speed. And these guys live the core values, dude, or the operating principles with us. So it's like, if we need anyone to hire, dude, I got the guys ready to roll.
Let's go.
And I threw out this number. I'm not going to say this on YouTube, how many pies I've consumed just being in Miami. It's embarrassing. But I like steak.
Put it out there,
Yeah,
man.
put it
Just-
out
just
there,
know,
dude.
put it out.
So
Leave
for-
it out. How many?
NSFW.
I've had a pie for 50% of my time spent in Miami, and that's wild to me.
When you say pie, are we talking?
It's a slice.
Okay.
But the problem is there's multiple slices because I can't just settle on one flavor because they're all good.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think we do a really great job with content. The one piece of content I'm disappointed we haven't aired yet was the crumble review that we did.
I think we did air it.
Did we?
It flopped.
No, it didn't. There's
Yes.
no way.
The one
it
y'all
flopped.
did or the one we did?
No,
The one
Well, we
Manny
didn't. No,
did.
we didn't put ours out.
Yeah.
We didn't put ours
Yeah.
out because
Yeah.
we can't.
No, sorry, man. It flopped.
Did it really?
It flopped. Yeah.
See,
That's
well,
tough to
okay,
hear.
but you can pivot. You can
Yeah, I
start
mean, what
doing
did we
pie.
learn from
You
it?
can start
What
doing
did-
Why
pies.
don't you guys put yours out?
Because I was scraping for a sponsorship, and the way Lance presented it, we're just not going to get a sponsorship. It's just not a fan.
Enough said.
You know,
Yeah.
Lance said something.
Enough said.
Shocker.
Enough said. But
no, I think you got to start doing pie reviews. And what you should do too is, I've heard about these pies almost like I've had it, but I've never had any of
I
them.
do,
So
but how do you ship them
you
out
need to
here?
bring it. I don't know. You
in
could
an ice pack.
something. Yeah, you could figure it out.
I mean, I'll figure it out because I do think everyone needs to try these things because
Yeah.
they're really, really great and they do a great job.
100%.
But so Tim, I was talking. We do a really good job with content, like, and you're very bullish on it. You talk about we want to be the best company at social media or content, right? Like, what was your thought process there? Like, how'd you land on that?
Yeah, number one, it's just the industry that we're in. So artificial turf, obviously, it's highly visual. And so I'd love to be the highest spender on content in artificial turf because the more people that see turf, the more people will want to get turf. So the more content that we can put out at the brand level, the better it will be for our franchise owners, just educating the world and the US about artificial turf for people who don't have it. But beyond that, I do think that it's more strategic than just putting out pictures of turf. There's certainly a brand play, but when you really start to get into the details and the intricacies of where search is going and where digital is going, it's all moving towards AI search. And everybody's talked about LLMs and just how that's going. Everybody talks about SEO, but today, most people are not typing in artificial turf near me. They are typing in, does artificial turf get hot? Does artificial turf cause cancer? All of these questions people have that they need answered before they would ever go and actually have somebody come out and give them a quote. And so by putting out content, even when it's a video, everything that you say gets indexed in text form somewhere on the internet, if it's YouTube or Instagram, TikTok example. So the LLMs and the AI are actually now searching that, and it's preferring to search that video content and the social content. And so it's highly strategic for us to put out as much content as possible, because Google, and it's already doing this, it's recognizing Waterloo Turf as the authority on artificial turf. And so the more that we do, when a when a homeowner is looking up turf, they'll inevitably come across Waterloo Turf. Maybe they'll click on our blog, they'll read about our blog, they're going to go over to the next blog because it's internally linked. Now they've learned a little bit. Okay, let me click get a free estimate. They put their lead in. A minute later, the franchise owner is calling them. They're a local business owner. They show up exactly in the uniform that this person saw on social media. In the first place, it all goes together. But I do think that content is a big cornerstone of just what we can provide as a national brand.
Yeah. I think we do a lot of the heavy lifting, which I think is important. But I do think the franchise partners have to be involved, right? Because they need to see that local face. Like, what was your vision for them? Like, how are they going to contribute to their marketing, to their content?
Yeah, to me, it's as much local as you can do, the better. And so, nobody's ever gonna, like I've said this, but there's just no way to go out and over promote this business. I mean, there are most of our franchise owners are in metros where they have access to at least like 1 million in population. And so to be able to get your brand in front of 1 million people is going to take a long time, even if you do post all the time. And you're a great social media person, it's still going to take a long time. And so we are going to post, we're going to use the high quality camera equipment, the drones, the content people that we hire, that we have on salary, and we're going to post the highest performing content on all of our franchise owners' social media, along with just the internet in general. But franchise owners should still go and continue to promote. So we don't want to hold anybody back, but we just want to be able to help people and have them go do as much as they can as possible.
For sure. What's been your favorite piece of content to shoot?
I mean, we just shot one. I don't know if we've released it, but that was the infomercial was fun. I mean, we've done a ton of really, really fun content. I mean, our content creators, blog writers like Alyssa, Aaron, Grace, like they're all really talented at what they do, and they're really good at it. And so it makes it really easy to get on a job site or in a podcast studio or whatever it might be, and be able to say dumb things into a microphone or into a camera, and then see the final product of it and be like, wow, I can't believe they made it look that good. And so it's really assuring knowing when you're getting in front of a camera or a microphone that it's going to turn out solid. But it's also, like it's a super visual product. And so there's so many different applications. We just released one from a office building on a rooftop that we did, a patio space. That was awesome. Drone footage, flying over the van that has Get Your Saturdays Back on top of it. So, I mean, it's kind of just like endless opportunities to continue to create really cool and fun content. Because we were talking about this yesterday. What I don't want, and I think what everyone doesn't want for the brand, is just to be just a timeline of turf photos and have followers just see turf photo after turf photo after turf photo. Like, we have a really cool industry and a cool brand to where we can be fun and creative with it. And I think we got to flex that so that when, our followers are engaging with the brand and the content, they're anticipating some new fun content coming out of the brand.
For sure.
Because we have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just a really fun industry to be able to create some good content in.
I love it. Well, boys, as we wrap up here, I think we had a very strong year one. Super excited about it. Super bullish. Tim, what's our focus this year? Call our shot. What are we going to do this year?
I think we actually had a potential franchisee visiting you today, and Yeah, it's the same thing. What's going on with Waterloo Turf in 2026? I think it's the same exact thing we're doing in 2025. I don't think anything's changed. The goal has always been what we started the company based on is there is no national name brand in artificial turf. And so we want to be the national name brand in artificial turf. How we can do that is we have to partner with really great franchise owners who want to dominate their local markets. And so we need franchise owners who believe in the vision and their vision aligned with us, and they want to go win the artificial turf game in their local market. We want to build an iconic brand. And so that's all of the content that we're doing. We want to continue to ramp that up. And then lastly, enhancing and streamlining the operational system, continuing to make this a place to where everything that is being done is just copy paste on over and over and over, more profitably and better as we go.
Yeah. Boys, thanks for coming on. Super excited for you guys taking the time out of our busy day. Let's go sell some turf.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
Good to be here.
It was great. Bring
Cool.
some pie next time.